Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for Brands Hatch with the Porsche 911 RSR. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is before you reach the one board that is on the left. Brake as much as you can for a very short moment of time, then slowly ease off on the brakes and slowly transition over to the throttle. Then before you reach this bridge, you want to brake as much as you can in a straight line, then slowly ease off on the brakes as you turn in. Try to avoid the curbs on the right as you'll start to accelerate on the latter half of the turn. Then right before the curb on the right starts, you want to apply a quick burst of braking as you shift down to second gear. This will get the car to nicely rotate and you can go a little bit wide here as you start to accelerate. Just before you reach the one board, brake as much as you can in a straight line, then slowly ease off on the brakes. You want to get the car to nicely rotate into the apex, which is where the line goes across the track, which indicates the start of a new sector, and that's where you will start to slowly accelerate. Before you reach the one board, you will slowly start to turn in, then use some of your braking. You want to be careful with your braking, especially as you shift down to avoid the car from sliding. Look for the red barrier that is on the left as you'll brake right before you pass it. You can take advantage of the apex by going a little bit over the curbs and then you can quickly start to accelerate. Stay on the left as you'll brake right before you pass the one board. You'll use a very quick burst of braking, then ease off on the brakes. Take advantage of the apex and carefully accelerate. Then once again, just brake right before you reach the one board, and you want to make a smooth transition from easing off the brakes to applying the throttle. And one last time, brake before you reach the one board, and you'll brake hard for just a moment, then slowly ease off on the brakes. Go down to third gear and just carefully start to accelerate so you don't go off track. Stay on the right and you are good to go. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. Interestingly, for this race, you have to use all three Tyre Compounds so you can avoid a 20-second penalty. Now, when it comes to the tire strategy, you have to think about a couple things. Where are you starting? And do you want to attack now, defend later, or defend now and attack later? So in this race, I'm starting on racing hard tires and I'm starting in pole position. So second place, in which we're viewing their perspective now, they're attacking me because they're on racing soft tires. So they're obviously going to be getting faster times than I am because they have more grip. And this is the thing. If you were to start on pole position and start with racing medium or racing hard tires, you're going to find yourself getting attacked pretty often, and especially with how narrow the track is, which makes it a little bit harder for any overtaking to happen, things might get a little hairy. But because I'm on racing hard tires and I'm only going to be on it for one lap, I'm going to change on over to racing medium tires and then eventually go on over to racing soft tires. So once again, I'm starting on a defensive stance and slowly making my way over to a more offensive stance. I'd also like to note, this is how many laps I do on each tire compound. Racing hard tire, I only do 1 lap. Racing medium tires, I do 7 laps. And racing soft tires, I do 6 laps. But because I am pitting early in the race, I will have to come out into traffic and I'm going to have to claw my way back up to where I was until I have to go back into the pit stop. So I went into the pit stop in first place and I came out in 10th place. So now I have to try to battle my way up. And because I'm going to have to deal with traffic and because they're all on different tire compounds, I might have to end up being engaged in long battles, which will make my total time last a little bit longer compared to if I was doing, let's say, a soft into medium into hard tire strategy. So in terms of tire strategy, if you're, let's say, starting from the back, you might want to think about starting with the racing hard tire, so that way you have the softer tire compounds available to you as you go along the race. And if you start in the front of the pack, you might want to think about starting on a softer tire compound, so that way you can try to break away from those behind you and at least just keep up with the top dogs. And if you start in the middle, I think you have a little bit more free range to think about what you want to start with, but I would say either start with the racing medium or the racing soft tire compounds. Whatever you want to do after that for your first or second pit stop, that's going to be completely up to you. For me personally, I was doing a couple of the Daily C race and I found myself using the racing hard tires in the middle of the race. That way I can just get them out of the way and continue on with the racing medium or the soft tire, depending on which one I have left to use. That way I don't have to defend too much at the very end of the race. And in terms of fuel, you don't have to worry about that. You have more than enough fuel to be able to complete the race. And yeah, so this is a very interesting Daily C race because we have to use all 3 tire compounds, and the way that we want to go about these tire compounds depends on when we want to attack and defend or where we start in the race. And as we pass by each other and battle each other, we're going to be on different strategies, so it'll be interesting to see where we start and where we end up depending on what we did with our tire strategies. So hopefully this guide gives you an idea of how you want to go about this race in terms of tire strategy. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.